Okay, so I have a reaction because I would do my personal opinion, but let's face it, I haven't played the game. I haven't, so we're going to watch Swanky Box. Swanky Box because might as well just watch someone random. It's the unseen. They think it's the unseen war. It's the ending. Explain. Oh, spoiler alert, by the way. Okay, the reason I'm doing it is because my phone is like this. It's like it covers this entire half, so I can't. So I'm gonna do that. See my face. But let's get into it. Just another game theory.
Deltarune. The world of Undertale lore hunting has started all over again. Honestly, it's something I missed. There was such a rush behind it when I tackled the game in 2015. The hunt for secrets, the mysterious unknown, and seeing what Deltarune is as a game definitely inspires me greatly. Knowing that Toby coded this game by himself, alongside the support of Temmie as an artist, is really amazing. Obviously, lots of people contributed, from music to translations, but Toby still carried a huge solo workload. It's crazy because when I was younger, I devoted several years to my own RPG that I never released. Hundreds, if not 1,000 or so hours, and the world never got to see it. I think that's honestly why I love these games so much. 6 years of my life went to one project that I worked on by myself. So I certainly respect the ambition one needs when they're a one-man army. But I digress. We're gathered here today to discuss something interesting. Something that has governed over the Undertale universe for quite some time. There's a war brewing, and we're sort of caught in the crossfire. But before starting, I do want to say that after my first video came out, Toby released a message that sheds some light on the world he's created. If you haven't watched the first video, it certainly sets the stage for this one. Just wanted to throw that out there, as I highly recommend watching it. Anyways, recently Toby put out a mental dump about the challenges with developing Deltarune, and his thoughts on the project. However, within were some lore bits sprinkled in. Or should I say, some framework was established. When answering the question if this was a sequel or not, this is what he had to say. Please don't worry too much about that. Actually, I'm worried if people worry too much about what it is, they might not be able to properly enjoy it. I will say that basically what you're seeing here is not the world of Undertale. Undertale's world and ending are the same as however you left them. If everyone was happy in your ending, the people in the Undertale world will still be happy. So please don't worry about those characters and that world. It will remain untouched. To rephrase that, Deltarune's world is a different one, with different characters that have lived different lives. A whole new story will happen. I don't know what you call this kind of game. It's just a game you can play after you complete Undertale, if you want to. That's all. So this in some ways confirms the topics covered in my first video, and in a way that doesn't disrupt what we'll be covering in this video. So Undertale as a whole is still complete. Its story is self-contained, but unfortunately characters like Sans know there is more to it than just one tale. Deltarune is a game similar to its name, both a reordering of the story and characters of Undertale, but also the name itself is a reordering of the letters in Undertale since it's an anagram. Having Toby solidify this reasoning really helps because it certainly is just like Majora's Mask, an alternative parallel universe where things played out differently. But if you're still curious about the time frame, Deltarune apparently takes place in the year 2002X, according to the manual files that are inaccessible during normal play. There's artwork included that shows that the manual was made in 2002X, prior to Ralsei encountering anyone. We know that Kara's timeline started in the year 2001X, due to the calendar found in the new home. On a genocide run, Kara states that the circle date was, quote, the day I came here. If the entire Undertale timeline is only 10 years long, then I guess Deltarune could technically come afterwards. Same thing could be argued the other way though. It's impossible to tell, so it makes more sense approaching the series like Toby said. A different world that doesn't rely on the former. But with this, did the monsters defeat the humans in a war? Is that why we don't see any other humans? It's interesting because there aren't really any records of a fight at all. The war of the humans and monsters didn't take place. Because if it did, wouldn't Gerson's tombstone reference that he was a great war hero, like Undyne said he was in Undertale? This alternative timeline seems to be currently one of peace. minus the dark world we visit. It's funny because it's almost like one level deeper than Undertale's story. In Undertale, a human fell into the underground, and in this story, a human who's alone, and may have fallen into this monster area, falls into the dark world. It's like having a basement below a basement story-wise. So if the stage is set, then the root world, as in the town we live in, seems to be one that lacks major conflict, where the subworld is full of conflict. But that doesn't mean everything is okay, because trouble is brewing.
Gaster.
Introducing the world of War Tickets!
What are you doing?
It's all you can play. Mom picks how much time, and we can play all the games we want. All you can play, only at Chuck E. Cheese's.
In my last video, I left off with one major question. How does the opening sequence to the game fit into the story? And honestly, I think it's a major clue. The game itself is called Survey Program, and as its name implies, whatever is contained in this program is being analyzed and taken note of. That's what's neat about the character creator. We have the ability to create a person out of thin air, but ultimately the overarching creator deems this not a fit. We have no choices. We follow only one set path. Deltarune is all about our choices not having an effect, whereas in Undertale, our choices were everything. We can't choose to do a genocide route because no one will die. We can't choose options with Susie, and so much more. The funny thing about the character creator is we are merely developing a follower of Gaster, another great entity that exists on the edge of reality of the world. If we dive into the game files, we can even see that every part of our customizable character is labeled as a Goner, just like Goner Monster Kid and Goner Clam Girl from the Nintendo Switch version. They are aligned to Gaster based on the sounds associated with them, and the color palette that mirrors Gaster's followers. But why? What does all of this really mean? And the really weird thing is, Gaster doesn't have to be gone in this timeline. No core was ever developed, and he may not have fallen into his creation. And I think I have an idea where he might be residing. If he heads south of town, or I suppose down because I have no idea if it's actually south, you'll come across a sealed door that leads underground. However, the closer you get, the louder a weird noise plays. Now, if you take this tone and speed it up 10 times, you'll hear the staticky cries of what sounds like Gaster. It's pretty similar to the garbled sound effects you get if you try using your cell phone in the dark world. If Gaster does exist in this game, and he has a lab similar to the lab we saw in Undertale, this would honestly be the perfect place for it. Deep underground, beneath the forest. But even if Gaster doesn't exist in this game, his work surely does, and his work is what is influencing the effects of Kara. Gaster was scattered across time and space due to his experiments, but judging by Deltarune, I don't think he was actually broken apart like I always envisioned it. Gaster is creating timelines, and where there are timelines to ruin, Kara will follow. It's the ultimate game of cat and mouse. Gaster, among other characters like Flowey/Azrael and Kara, realize they exist within a game world. A world that resets and starts all over again. With a world like that, there is no looking outwards. There's always a barrier you can't pass. The barrier into the real world. However, that doesn't mean one can't explore infinitely inwards. And I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Gaster is doing. If you can't go out, go deeper. If you can't approach the end of a timeline, maintain yourself in the middle. What I believe is, Gaster has been creating new worlds within the overarching framework of the existing one. Separate universes that still play by the same rules as the original. However, he's created a world where choices are excluded. Because if choices can't be made, negative influence can't manifest itself. I think Gaster was trying to create the perfect world, where one person's choices could not lead to the destruction of it. This Deltarune timeline could very well be multiple versions deep, especially if Kara keeps figuring out a way to sneak in. After all, like Kara said, let's erase this pointless world and move on to the next. Gaster and Kara are kind of like the yin and yang of the world at the moment. One bestows creation, although through unorthodox methods, and one takes it all away. There's an invisible struggle going on between the two, behind the scenes. And yet, the characters in the game merely carry on in society. Although choices seem to be restricted, We know that our determination is acting against that. Even in the dark world, our choices seem to amount to nothing. Regardless if we fight or act, the same results seem to come about. All except one. The defeat of the king can either be him getting carried away by his subjects or him falling asleep. And this depends if you were someone who attacked others or someone who was a pacifist. But this crack in the rules shows that in this subworld, the dark world of Deltarune's universe, that the rules are capable of being broken. And all it took was that one little crack, that one defiance to let Kara in like a virus. We get taken over by their thirst for blood, and our heart is banished to a cage. But at this point, the power of choice has been restored. Even though we're caged, our heart can still move. We can move our heart despite being trapped, and that shows our determination to resist and make choices is coming alive. Gaster's creation, this perfect society timeline, is about to crumble. And I imagine that Chapter 2 is going to be very, very interesting. Don't forget. But that's just my thoughts on all of this. I could be completely wrong, so be sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. And with that, thanks for tuning in to this Deltarune struggle. Probably not surprised.
You heard it here. Well, him. Not here. This is my reaction to it. I'm gonna give my personal opinion after I'm done doing a bunch of reaction videos to other people. I'm lying. I'm gonna do it now. I do believe that it is Gaster's world. I fully believe that it was Gaster's from, not the beginning, that he wanted Undertale to be his, but it didn't work out to his full extent. And, you know, like you said, it's scattered everywhere. And when they said that, it made me think that the best idea for them would to make another Undertale. That's what my great idea was. But after some time passed, and I was like, okay, I guess they're not making another Undertale. Come to find out, just doing it by himself. I had no idea. In my mind, I thought, like, okay, this is Undertale for all of you. You can make your fans and whatever else. That's it. I thought it was just left to that. I didn't know that the second one was being made soon the first one was finished. I didn't know. I didn't know much about the final solution. But it's kind of cool. I want to see how this is going to go. And plus, this is only chapter 1. Which, if you didn't know, spoiler alert. Oops. It should be obvious. But with that being said, can't wait to see MatPat try to figure it out. We can't wait to watch that. Game theory. Rock on, peace, man. Yeah. With that being said, also, kawaii. I need to stop playing as I crank my fist back with the power of non-Gaster and no cell phone. I'm gonna just hit you with the